Book of First Kings, a historical account in the Old Testament, records the rise and reigns of Israel's kings, particularly focusing on the transition from a united kingdom under King Solomon to a divided kingdom of Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Here's a breakdown of its main sections and themes. Chapters 1 to 11, the reign of Solomon. 1. Solomon's succession. The book opens with David in old age. His son Adonijah attempts to take the throne, but through the intervention of Nathan the prophet and Bathsheba, Solomon is anointed king. David gives final instructions to Solomon on ruling wisely and securing the kingdom. 2. Establishing the kingdom. Solomon consolidates his power, deals with his political rivals, and establishes alliances, notably through marriage to Pharaoh's daughter. 3. Wisdom of Solomon. Solomon famously prays for wisdom, which God grants along with wealth and honor. His wisdom and wealth bring him fame, and he judges wisely, as illustrated by the story of the two women claiming the same child. 4. Building the temple. Solomon undertakes the monumental project of building the temple in Jerusalem, fulfilling his father David's dream. He constructs the temple over 7 years and then dedicates it to the Lord with a great celebration and a prayer for God's presence. 5. Solomon's wealth and downfall. Although Solomon achieves great wealth, power, and wisdom, he eventually falls into idolatry, influenced by his many foreign wives who bring in their gods. This leads God to declare that the kingdom will be divided after Solomon's death, sparing Judah for the sake of David. Chapters 12 to 16, the divided kingdom. 1. Division of the kingdom. After Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam becomes king. However, Rehoboam's harsh policies lead 10 tribes in the north to rebel, forming the separate kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Rehoboam retains only Judah and Benjamin in the south. Jeroboam's apostasy. Jeroboam establishes alternative worship centers at Bethel and Dan with golden calves to prevent his people from worshiping in Jerusalem, leading Israel into idolatry. 3. Early kings of Israel and Judah. The next chapters describe the reigns of various kings in both Israel and Judah, many of whom lead their people away from God, incurring divine punishment. These chapters establish a cycle where the kings of Israel especially fall into idolatry, while Judah has a few kings who seek God. Chapters 7 to 22, the ministry of Elijah and the fall of Ahab. 1. Introduction of Elijah. Elijah the prophet appears as a reformer in the northern kingdom of Israel during the reign of Ahab, who with his wife Jezebel promotes the worship of Baal. 2. Confrontation on Mount Carmel. Elijah challenges the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel to prove God's power. After praying, God miraculously answers by fire, demonstrating his supremacy over Baal and leading the people to declare that the Lord, he is God. 3. Elijah's trials in God's presence. Following this, Elijah faces persecution from Jezebel, flees into the wilderness, and experiences despair. God strengthens him and appears to him not in a dramatic display but in a still, small voice, reaffirming his presence and purpose. 4. Ahab's downfall. Ahab, though initially repentant after a prophecy from Elijah, ultimately meets his doom. God pronounces judgment on Ahab's house because of his sins, including his role in Naboth's murder to seize his vineyard. Ahab dies in battle, fulfilling Elijah's prophecy. Major themes in 1 Kings 1. Faithfulness to God. The book repeatedly emphasizes the importance of Israel's leaders remaining faithful to the covenant with God. Idolatry and deviation lead to consequences. 2. Role of prophets. Prophets like Elijah act as God's messengers, calling kings and the people back to obedience and warning them of judgment. 3. Divine justice and mercy. While God is just and punishes idolatry, he also shows mercy, as seen in his promises to David and occasional reprieves given to repentant leaders. 4. The cost of compromise. Solomon's life, in particular, illustrates how the pursuit of wealth, power, and foreign alliances can lead even the wisest away from true worship and devotion. Conclusion of 1 Kings. The book ends with a divided Israel, both politically and spiritually weakened. The groundwork is set for further conflict and prophetic intervention in 2 Kings, as the people continue to struggle with their identity and relationship with God amidst a cycle of sin, judgment, and partial repentance.